Welcome to the Earth to Marissa podcast, where we share personal experiences of growth and transformation in hopes that they help you through your own growth and transformation. Today's guest is a force of nature, a soul-stirring singer-songwriter, visionary artist, and transformational coach who helps people break free, awaken their inner glow, and step fully into their power. She's a certified hypnotherapist, subconscious and somatic healer, and a financial empowerment guide, blending science and soul to create radical breakthroughs. A devoted mother, a creative powerhouse, and a walking embodiment of divine surrender. Yes, she's the founder of the Finally Free Transformation Program, a life-changing one-on-one mentorship helping humans heal deeply, release old patterns, and rise into their fullest expression. Whether she's alchemizing voices through vocal activation, leading sacred rage rituals and releases, channeling her latest book, or performing music and spoken word poetry that moves people to tears, she is here to light up the world with truth, freedom, and unshakable joy. Buckle up, everyone, because the conversation is about to be riveting and absolutely magical. So welcome to the Earth to Marissa podcast, the one, the only, the legendary creative sunshine, Jourdan Rystrom.
Oh, wow, what an intro. Thank you, Marissa.
Yes, that just like gets me so lit. Gets me so lit.
It's an activation.
It really is. It really is. Hello and welcome to this beautiful portal of magic. How are you feeling?
I'm so grateful to be here. I can feel the energy already. It is palpable, it is visceral, and I am just so here for it.
Glittering between us. Yes, today we are going to be diving into some very powerful topics of surrender, of how we can turn our pain into creation, into activation for others and the world, how to stay true to your authenticity when creating, and how to just get curious and have fun and spark conversations and bring the human back to humanity through surrender and creation and trust. I'm so excited because you're writing a book on surrender. Yes. And before we dive into all these juicy topics, I first want to hit on what affirmations have you been working with lately?
Yes, thank you for asking. So the affirmation, when you asked me, to prepare an affirmation, the one that instantly came to mind is, the more I honor myself, the more everyone around me benefits. The more I honor myself, the more everyone around me benefits. And I wanted to share a little bit about that. What that means to me is that I identify as a recovering people pleaser, or people pleaser in recovery. I could create PPA, People Pleasers Anonymous, like the work that I have done in unraveling codependency over decades. And now I help my clients to do the same. Like, it is a living, breathing process that I still work through every day, right? Because, we've been coded with so much in childhood and all of these things that, just have taken us away from ourselves, at least in my experience. I grew up with, everyone has these ideas of who you should be and what you should look like and what you should say and think and be and do. And just along the way, I lost aspects of myself and became this like rabid people pleaser that I realized that when I kept saying yes to everyone else at the expense of myself, I thought I was helping them, but really I was not only hurting them, but me. I was abandoning me. And I was never, because I was never honest with how I really felt, I was never allowing these people to get to know the real authentic me anyway. And I was acting out of resentment and exhaustion and burnout. And so like that, I realized like, oh, that's actually pretty selfish. I kind of had to turn it around on myself psychologically and be like, it's selfish to be a people pleaser, because yes, even though we can give our trauma compassion, for me, like thinking that that's selfish is helpful because it helps me realize that the more I'm authentic, it actually benefits everyone around me. The more I choose and pour into myself, it's for the highest and greatest good of all. It really is. Even if in the moment it makes that person uncomfortable, it's being that divine reflection, that divine mirror of where they might be abandoning themselves still.
Yes. And too, I love that last piece that you brought, because when we are most authentic and we create that frequency, people often feel like, oh, I can be real with her because she knows her own boundaries. She knows where her limit is. And this is like a safe environment and relationship to like actually just be real, and we don't have to like play this fake stuff or make it murky. Like I know she's gonna say no or she's gonna draw the line when she needs to, because that and it's just so safe and nice to be in relationships that are real like that and deep like that. And you know where each other are at and where we're resonating.
You can have real connection then. You can have real authentic connection in a safe space to have, conflict, respectful conflict, I love having direct and honest conversations with people because I know that I'm a safe space for them. They might be triggered or whatever, but I've through the years, I've cultivated beautifully safe friendships where we can both share what's on our heart and know that the other one's not going to run away. Or even if they are offended, they know how to self-regulate, deal with the stuff, and bring it to the table so that we can alchemize it together.
Yes, alchemization together. And that is, I think, a big part of what we're going to dive into. Yeah. And just what humanity needs to hear right now. Like, how can we transform and transmute hand in hand? Not from these separate sides. It's not going to happen through separation. It's going to happen hand in hand. Oh, thank you so much for that affirmation. I am keeping that on lock because I haven't really heard that. I mean, I've definitely heard like the more I rest, the more I receive, but I like adding in that element of like the more I take care of myself, every single person benefits in my realm.
And the more you could rephrase it like the more I put my needs first, it's actually for the highest and greatest good of everyone. And we'll get into that with your next question you're about to ask me, and also just motherhood in general. I'm a mother of 2 small children. I'm in high demand, and I know that I need to do my daily workout. That's an hour away from them to refuel myself so I can be the best mom for them. It's actually by putting that need of mine first, it's for the highest and greatest good of everyone. Yeah, and time and time again, I just keep coming back to that truth.
Yes. And then leading into that, so the self-care routine that's been serving you, I have seen that you hopped back into the gym recently. And how's your wrist feeling?
Good. Yeah, I took like a 3-month, gym sabbatical. Didn't go well mentally because I'm a manifesting generator in human design, and we need to move our bodies every day. Like it's like a necessity. So definitely, I was like, okay, Jourdan, you got to get back. But I took the time to rest and to heal my wrist, and I'm back at it, doing kickboxing, strength training, yoga, and now I'm going to be going on a solo retreat. Right as this episode drops, I'll be in Costa Rica. So I'm very excited about just taking time for myself. So to answer your question, what's your current self-care
routine, something that's been serving your self-care. It's always fun to like just peek into other people's lives and see and just spark ideas for your own life, right?
Yes, I love that, by the way. I love how intentional you are. And that's actually my thing that I wanted to share, my little drop of self-care wisdom is be intentional. Less is more. And make life, anywhere and everywhere you can, make life a living, breathing ceremony. And so just to kind of reflect on that, I know that was like 3 things, but they're all interrelated.
They all go together, and the more the better on the podcast.
Yeah, it's so funny because you're like, just one thing. I'm like, I have so many, but this is actually what my self-care routine is about, removing all the busyness. It's so funny. But yeah, I was going to say self-care for me in the season of life that I'm in, but I really feel like this could apply to everyone. But yeah, in the season of life that I'm in, removing busyness from my calendar. And I say busyness like quote unquote because there's so many distractions that we think we need to attend to, we think are urgent, but they're really not. when you like sit back into the seat of self and reflect, it's like, is that really something that's necessary? Do I really need to book all these extra free master classes and like stress about being there on time because I won't receive the replay for 72 hours? You know, it's like that kind of stuff. It's like, do I really need this, or can I trust in the wisdom that's already within me? And in my season of life, which is young children motherhood right now, my self-care is removing anything and everything that is not of like utmost importance right now. So I'm putting presence first in self-care, intentionality, and just consistently reminding myself less is more, so I can be more present. And again, making everything a ceremony. Like when I prepare my food on my plate, it's, in the morning I make eggs for the babies and for myself. I'm making eggs, and I prepare like a kind of like an avocado toast with eggs and arugula and cheese. It's so good.
You do it up luxurious. You make it luxurious. Yes.
Yeah, from home. And I cut it in half, and I just pray over it and ask for it to nutrify every cell in my body and just bring my radiance and light and my energy online for the day. And I just eat it with so slowly. And I'm telling you, like, again, recovering people pleaser, I used to rush through life, and I used to think that was good, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm like slowing down, and I used to be so annoyed by these types of people. It's funny. It's come full circle, baby.
Yeah, you it's something that you grow into, and I'm finding that too. This is actually such a big theme for me right now. The rushing and the forcing and the pressure. I am so sick of living this way, and I actually had like kind of like a rock bottom moment last week with that energy, and I was like, okay, for real, like I cannot, I've said that, but like this is the line, like my nervous system is shot, like I can't keep doing this, and
it's unsustainable. And we will are, especially as female bodied individuals, like we will eventually lead to burnout and exhaustion, and then our body will say ding ding ding, okay, now you're physically ill as well. When are you
that's what happened.
When are you going to get the knock, right? So we don't have to slap you.
Yeah, for real. No, I got enough slapped. So I started my menstrual cycle last week with the kind of like, I almost passed out. I threw up. I had to leave like work, and like it was just so intense. My cramps, like I don't take pain medicine because I try to stay away from pills, and there was nothing else. Like I just had to take it, and I'm so
like,
glad
emergency.
that SOS. Yes. What kind of sparked, I mean, other than creating space for presence and having, the boys, so you do want more space for presence now more than ever. What was that line for you that you realized, okay, it's time to stop pushing myself to the end and like filling all of my time and going?
That's a really good question. I feel like it was like a gradual learning and yearning of after having my second child, Aiden, who's now just turned 2, I realized like what to me is actually important in life, which before I was having, making lots of money in my business and launching group courses and master classes all over the place. And don't get me wrong, I know that I have so much wisdom, and I need to still work on creating my body of work, because to not share everything that I've embodied and learned in this life would be selfish. Like I know that I still have a lot to share with the world in terms of all the things I do and offer, and vocally and otherwise, but I'm gonna say cancel, but because we get to have this
yes,
I was so obsessed with that, and outsourcing like all my childcare to a nanny, and outsourcing everything. I was resisting being so fully present, not only with my children, my babies, but with myself. Like it's the end of the day, it's always the resistance with self, right? Yes. And I didn't want to, like, I wanted to just keep going on that hamster wheel of what's the next thing I can release? What's the next thing I can do? What's the next amount of money I can make? And I realized, like, when Aiden was born and that money, the money faucet stopped, and I was forced to look within. I was forced to look at all these little gremlins within me, all the shadows, right? All the shadow fragments of myself that, told me that all the little parts of me that were out of integrity and all the little parts of me that were unwilling to just sit with it and just be present. Not that I was like doing anything wrong, but you know what I mean? Just like the little aspects of self, like where have I been not honoring me? Where have I been abandoning
neglecting?
And then in that self-abandonment, I wasn't being fully present for my children.
Yes.
And this motherhood journey has like cracked my heart wide open, I gotta say, because it is a balance between, of course, taking care of myself, working out, doing the solo trips that my soul needs for refuel, but also just being so present, so very present. And so, yeah, I think motherhood has cracked me open into and then being around children. Like I never before was I around small children until I had my own. That's another thing.
It's a whole new wavelength. Yeah.
It is. And they're so present and so intentional. And witnessing their innate joy, their innate curiosity, and their innate whimsicality about life and learning, like, oh my gosh, this is a pen, like it draws. That's the coolest thing in the world. And like we're all stuck in our heads as adults. It's like, no, like get back to real life. Get back to like, this is really cool that a pen can draw and we can write our innermost thoughts and create art and poetry with it, And so, yeah, I feel like that the be intentional, the making life a living, breathing ceremony. I just feel like all of that came from, like the full embodiment of it came from motherhood.
What a beautiful experience too. And I love that you said it was like a yearning. It's not just like something that we learn. And I feel like oftentimes the new versions of self do come from that yearning kind of sensation and feeling. And if you're in tune with your body and in tune with your actual authenticity, you will more so feel those deep yearnings. Because I would say I really resonate with that word when it comes to my own personal, like, want to slow down and want to just take it easy and like not overbook myself, like make sure I'm having enough time so I'm not feeling rushed. And it does come from this like inner yearning of like, this is the way the world is changing and we are the way showers of this. Like we can have it unfold perfectly for us and be taken care of and also live a nice, present, intentional and slow life. So I love that you said that.
I feel like that's our natural blueprint too. It's actually like what we were born with, but again, society and capitalism like tells us otherwise. It's like, no, go as fast and hard as you can, fast and hard, right? And again, as a Manny Jen, like my natural design is to like act as inspired, which can mean I'm doing a million things at once if they're all inspiring me, but then I'm lit up by it. It's like, where am I acting? Where am I going because life tells me I have to stay busy and distracted, or I'm, unwilling to look within? And then when is it from actual excitement and my actual design, which does feel good to me. It does. It's instead of draining me, it activates me and it gives me more energy. That's how I can tell. Like, is this aligned busyness? I mean, is this something I really want to bring in? Is it going to excite me and bring me more joy and more life force energy, or is it going to drain me and lead me to burnout? So I really use that inner compass to decide where I'm led to next.
And how has coming into your authenticity supported that own inner compass that you do lead by?
Yeah, just the more you can be honest with yourself. I really consider it a muscle. It's like a muscle that we grow, and every time we honor our own needs or we honor our intuition and make a decision or an action based on our intuition, it grows that muscle. It's not like you go to the gym once and you lose all 250 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And I had 250 pounds of intense trauma that I've grown up with. You know, we don't need to get, we all have our own traumas, right? Big T's, little T's.
Yep, we all have the big T. Yeah.
We all have it. We all have it in our own flavor. But it's like every time I honor myself, every time I say no to someone respectfully and with love, and I have a moment of like, hey, Jourdan, hey, little me inside, like we didn't self-abandon this time. I love you. You're safe. We're good. It's like this freedom that opens up. It's like this cage is, again, I say with children too, like my heart has broken open.
Yes.
It's broken open in the best of ways. And so every time I make a decision or take an action that is self-honoring, my heart breaks open more into just expansion and freedom and peace. And it feels so good.
Yes. I'm just getting this visual, this beautiful visual of just like sun beaming like through your chest and like all around you. And it's, yes. When you told me to like kind of add my own to the introduction, creative sunshine is like the word that came through for you. Yes, like major creative sunshine, just like beams, all like just full of arts galore. And I want to talk about this too because you've got a lot going on. You're a singer, yes, you're a hypnotherapist, you're creating courses, you have wisdom flowing through you, you're creating art, poetry. How do you stay in this creative mindset? How do you stay in the mindset that anything can be creation no matter what it is, whether it is the big trauma or it is just this small little moment that I experienced today? Like, how do you catalyze these moments into creation?
Good questions. Reflector, I see you.
Thank you.
I just let life crack me open. I let life inspire me. And I feel like this is the biggest issue that I see with other like entrepreneurs and creators is that they think they have to sit down and create content. They think that they have to throw these cogs into the wheel to make it work faster, and that never works. I mean, almost never works. I don't like to use absolutes, but it's like, for me, I've never thought that way. I've never thought, oh, I gotta sit down today and write a piece of content so that I can be seen. Never. I instead utilize every moment of life as, again, a living, breathing ceremony, a living, breathing prayer. Like, how can I make art out of this moment? And that's a question I ask a lot. Like, when someone says, I'm feeling creatively stuck, I'm like, okay, let's go into the stuckness. How can we create art out of this stuckness right now? And maybe they need to do some tapping, which I teach and, lead my clients through. Maybe they need to gutturally vocalize that stuckness. And maybe it becomes a stomp, it becomes a song, maybe it becomes like this very like, visceral movement, right? Somatic ritual. Maybe the stuckness becomes a poem that we write down, or just a subconscious brain dump journaling where there's beautiful moments in there, and then that becomes your content because then you continue to act as inspired, right? Like I still have like journal entries from when I first got sober, and this is like almost 10 years ago now, and I got sober from drugs and alcohol and pills and Adderall and weed, all of that. But then I was still struggling with food, like just binge eating then, because it was almost like whack-a-mole. It's like, okay, we got rid of all these things, and the other mole pops up. Like, what's another way we can fill you up with distracting yourself from the essence of your soul, right? And so I remember sitting in the parking lot, newly sober, right? Which I should have given myself so much credit for.
Yes, we never do.
But it's like, I know. It's like, oh, now the food, okay. Now you're still, you're still a failure. And I had to tap all that out and move through that. But I remember sitting in the parking lot of McDonald's, and I had just ordered like a full meal, extra large size with a McFlurry, extra Oreo. And I was just like sitting there, just shoveling it in. I had even turned off my location on my phone from my then boyfriend because I didn't want him to see where I was. I felt so ashamed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I remember sitting there, and there was so much heaviness there within me, right? And I felt like such a failure. And I just remember getting out and journaling. Like, I had this journal from sobriety that my sponsor had given me, and I'm just like, the dark, and I just let it out. I didn't judge what was coming out of me, but it's like the darkness, the demons have won. I've lost all my power. And, it's like I just let it out. I let out my real, raw feelings of failure and, my darkest hour, the bells have rung, lost all my power, the demons won, just like, really, I mean, you can call it elementary, but I just let it out. And still to this day, I look back at that poem and I'm like, wow, I have so much compassion for that part of me. That's me. That is an aspect of me. And I feel like we can all relate to that, like where we feel it's our darkest hour and the bells have rung, we've lost all our power, the demons have won,
Me last week.
Literally. It's like, how can we have so much compassion for that girl or that boy or whoever that's still us? And how can we love all the full spectrum of emotion? How can we love and hold space for the full spectrum of emotion, not making any of it wrong? That's the most important thing I want to share today. Like, honestly, if anyone can take away who's listening right now, first of all, I love you so much. You are so needed in this world.
Yes.
But secondly, like, if you can just stop making your emotions wrong. Because I feel like people are like, oh, I'm only good if I'm happy. I'm only good if I'm in my joy or in my peace. But no, like when you're shoveling the McDonald's fries down your gullet, spilling ice cream down your shirt, then pick up a journal then, or pick up your iPhone notes, or pick up your voice note, just vocalize into it. Like, make art. You can make art out of any emotion, and that's what art is. It's just an expression of our humanity. It's our truth in that moment, and through letting it out in this, it's just moving energy. Everything is just moving energy. Absolutely. Right? So through letting it out, boom, it shifts. That's simple.
It really is that easy, because we are constant channels. We are constant flow, and when we try to hold it in or we feel that emotion and we suppress it, that we just took that energy, and instead of letting it flow, we just stick it right to our body, and then it all just sticks, and that's when we get the dis-ease in our body.
The dis-ease through self-abandonment, because when we don't let it out, it goes in. And especially as a recovering addict, right? Like, I know this firsthand. I have mastered it. Instead of letting things out in a healthy way, I have instead internalized it, which has caused dis-ease of many different types, right? Many different kinds. Mental,
physical, spiritual
dis-ease. And it's lack of ease from not learning how to regulate our nervous system, our electrical system, and then letting art flow through us, because I believe everything is art. Like, it's like, and so ask yourself, ask your inner child, like, what art do we want to create today? Like, how do we want to play today? How do we want to create art? Maybe it's writing about demons. Maybe painting a beautiful watercolor of the sunset. Maybe it's sitting down and writing a song about how all these school tragedies that are happening across our country, you're so in deep grief and rage, and you can't stop me from crying, so I'm going to write a song about it. It's like, it's all perfect. It's all perfect.
And I have this question, and I feel like someone in the audience right now is asking this question, because it definitely feels like just kind of like downloaded. It's this question of why create if no one's going to see it? Which I think is a very interesting question, and I actually have someone very close in my life who often asks this way. It's like, why do this craft or why do this thing if it's just going to sit with me, if no one's ever going to see it? Or like, why write poetry or create a song? And there's this like almost like resistance that I feel from this energy in the audience of like, there's no like reason to create if it's not for something. And I think that is really interesting to acknowledge, because it doesn't necessarily need to be for something. It's just an act of moving through you, no matter what it is. Like, sure, you could put it out for people to see, but it doesn't have to be that way. It simply just gets to be. And I don't think we talk about that enough, because oftentimes we do see people creating for a purpose, creating for this end goal, creating for,
Yeah.
but I think you are a really beautiful embodiment of just creating no expectation.
Yeah, and that's actually, and I love that you bring this up. And so whoever's asking this question, I see
Yes.
you, I hear you, you are so loved. What my first question back to that person would be is, why do you not consider yourself of utmost importance to receive your art?
Ooh, wow, yes, yes.
Why do you not consider yourself? Why are you putting other people receiving your art above yourself receiving your art as a healing modality? And especially with singing, I always talk about our voice. Our voice is such a beautiful resonance. It's a healing resonance for ourselves first and foremost, and then for others. And again, put your oxygen mask on before you
Yes.
help others, even your children. It all is this, it's just different ways to say the same thing. Same with art. Like, why are you not feeding this for yourself? This is feeding your soul. Creating art is feeding your soul. It's healing your inner child. It's allowing you, like you said, it's allowing the energy to flow through you and out of you, whether it's onto paper or it's out into vibration through what you've spoken or sang or whatever, right? Why is that? Why are you still putting others and external things above you? That's self-abandonment. So I just want to call that out lovingly to whoever's
Yes.
asking that question, very lovingly, as just a question to sit with. Why
Yes.
am I still saying that I have to do this for others, instead of like, you're the only one that you are born with and die with, like we've got to nurture ourselves first, and then we can serve from the overflow, because we have the overflow, because we filled our cup, right? And then we can be shining, like you said, sunshine, creative lights. And so
Yes.
I will say, and thank you for like acknowledging the embodiment, because I will say every time I write a song, it is for me. It is only for me. And then when I share it, other people get to enjoy it too. I get to put it out in the world and release it, and then it's no longer my baby, because like I birthed it and I loved it, and it's like it healed me, and then I share it and I have no attachment to what anyone says. If they like the song, great. If it changes their life and they send me a message about it, that keeps me going. It really does. It fuels me, because I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But if they don't like it, I don't care, honestly, because it healed me first, and I make art for me first, and then share it with the world if I feel called. There's lots of songs I've never shared and I may never share. Same with my poetry. But I am working on sharing it, though, because that's the thing with me. My whole thing that I'm still working through the stuckness of is I create so much and don't share it, that I know I'm holding back stuff that I know can really change people's lives. But I do it.
Yes.
I have to do it. You have to do it for you first, and then let it out.
And I mean, as someone that like, I also feel very called to creation. I feel called to sharing the inner wisdom that just flows through me. I the channeled messages, I channel a lot of energies and beings for YouTube, and it is this weird balance of like trying to make sure I'm always doing it for myself, because I would call myself a collective, reader, or like a collective channeler. And it is something that I want to do full time. And I think when money comes into play, that can really fuck people up, because you put this pressure on it. And then like, if I do want to do this full time, then there's that pressure that comes in. Well, I need to have like content out there. I need to have content out there, and I need to be doing this. And I've tried to, find this like nice balance of like doing it for me, making sure my energy is in the best place to do it, making sure tuning into my inner child, like, hey, are you sure you want to create in this way right now? Or would it serve you to, sit with self and do another creative venture? But there's definitely
Sit in the sun.
Yes, there's definitely this energy of like putting expectation on your creation, because there's the pressure of it needing to almost perform.
And
Go ahead.
And that's where, yeah, and thank you for bringing these. These are so important. These nuances
Oh, I
that you're
completely
bringing
agree.
to the table. Oh, thank you. Like, I
Yes.
love it. We could talk. We have a 9-hour podcast on
Straight
all of
up,
these
straight up.
nuances.
Yes.
Yeah. Into that, I say, obviously, different things work for different people, but for me, I have found that that is why establishing different streams of income and different stable streams of income are so important, because I personally would never want to feel locked and forced into having to write songs all day. And that's like writing songs and singing is like brings me life. But if that was my sole source of income, my soul would probably die. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes.
because we are putting an expectation and an attachment onto it, which is that energy of like the witchy, like, right? And it's like,
Grasp.
that's a
Yes.
yucky energy, that grasping. It's obligatory. It's obligatory energy. It's different from the go-getter, the go-giver energy. There's that obligation, or even when it comes to like getting sponsors and feeling forced to like represent products that might not totally align with who you are. And there's nothing wrong with representing products that you feel aligned with, but I'm just saying, like, when it's like, oh, the money, that we get into even like taker energy, like taker and obligatory energy, like those are lower form energies that as humans we always pop in and out of, just in general, like,
Yes.
no shame, but like, is that what you want to create from? Is that what you want to take your biggest passion and fuel those energies into it? So with all that said, that's why I teach about financial empowerment. And, I have all these other streams of income for how I can make money, whether that's investing, whether that is, I have a private practice where I do the hypnotherapy and the somatic work with my clients, and I have this powerful transformation program, which is a high level investment, but it's high level results. And in that is passion. I'm truly passionate about that work as well. I'm truly passionate about that work as well. And so it's like, but yes, I know that singing is like, and it's hard too. It's like, how do I say it's my main purpose? Because I know that helping others heal is also my purpose. It's like we have a spectrum. We have a spectrum of purpose with different colors and different flavors. And so to answer your question in a very long-winded way, I say don't put all your financial eggs in one basket of like, oh, this has to succeed. Create different streams of income. Like, I go live on TikTok, and I do it for my first intention for going live on TikTok is to grow my fan base and my following, and to bring light and Christ light and love to whoever is there. That's my first intention, but I make money from it too, secondary. Like, people send me gifts, and like I made like quite a few thousand last year on TikTok, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
But so that was like a fun magic money source of income,
Yes.
And then I have, my client work, and then I have my investments that make dividends every month. So it's like, you've got to, and then if you have a partner, maybe they work too, and then you can pool your finances together for where you live, or a roommate, right? It's like and everyone's situation is so different. So I definitely can't give like any blanketed advice, and I don't give financial advice in general, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you get the drift of what I'm saying, right?
Yes. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because then that's where the pressure comes from. Because then especially too, like, I'm pretty sure Oren and Chelsea, which we're familiar with. If you don't know them, I'm sure you can Google their names and they will pop up. I'm pretty sure Oren said, like, to make sure, like, you never, like, put financial pressure on the things that you actually, like, really light up your soul and you enjoy doing. Like to always, like, like exactly what you're saying. Never have that, like, single stream. Yeah.
So he basically said everything in one sentence that I was trying to say in those 2 minutes.
Hey, no.
Yes,
I love the long-winded. I can't get enough of it, because you get more that way, I feel. I don't know. I'm long-winded too.
I'm a double Gemini.
That's why I have a podcast.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I just love to explore the nuances of life. Like, it's so exciting to me.
Explore all.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad these like little questions and energies are being felt.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something along the lines while you were talking. Oh, yes. How do you find inspiration to do it all? Because yes, you do have all of these avenues, and do you just follow the inspiration, or once you have kind of see my questions long-winded, it happens.
I am here for it.
Right? Because it does. It has so many layers. So you had inspiration to start all of these different avenues, okay? And then once you build these avenues up, that momentum's kind of there. And then once that momentum is present, it's kind of going, and I guess it doesn't necessarily take a lot of like willpower to like create in it because it already has that like beautiful foundation. However, how do you keep the inspiration in that fire lit for each of these avenues? Because I mean, personally, like I do Akashic Records readings, and I have that fire's kind of lit. You know, I have podcasts, that fire's lit. My job that I do, I love healthy foods and feeding people healthy foods. So, but I would say it, and too, everyone has a different energetic makeup. So there's again not one thing that's going to fix. But do you kind of understand the question?
Yeah, like how to keep going, or how to have the energy to keep going.
Yeah, just how to fuel that inspiration for the different avenues that do support you in your life.
Yeah.
Like, does that constant creation spark that inspiration?
I would say I don't constantly create. I just live life, and as the sparks come along, and again, everyone's built differently. So what I'm saying might not resonate for someone else, but for me, like, I just live life and be as fully present as I can. And I also expect miracles. So I have a prayer every day. I stand out my window. I look at I have a beautiful skyline of Nashville where I live here from my home office. And I have my favorite citrine crystal. So beautiful. I got it from
literally holding a citrine right now. I love that.
Right out my window. And I got it from my Reiki master teacher training that I did years ago in LA, and so I hold that crystal and I look through it because it's clear. It's beautiful, clear citrine. I look through it and I look at the city of Nashville. I did it right before we started the podcast here, and I just say thank you, God, for this beautiful day. It's almost like I'm coating what I see with the sunlight of the spirit, right?
Wow.
And I say, thank you, God, for this beautiful day. Thank you for another day on earth. Thank you for another breath of life. And then I say, I'm excited to see what miracles occur today. I expect miracles. Thank you, God. Show me the greatest thing I could never even imagine. And I just say that every day. And I'm just like, I'm excited to see what happens today. And through that perspective of thinking, because I really do believe that our perspective creates our reality, right? We can get into all that mindset stuff. But through that perspective of, wow, I'm excited to see what's going to come forth today. What abundance is going to come forth. Abundance, abundance, abundance. Thank you, God. You know, just like I'm in such gratitude, even for if someone sends me like $1 on TikTok from a song I sang, they're like, they sent me a gift that, you know, gives me $1. It's like, thank you for that $1, because if you know, I really believe the universe doesn't know decimals. It's like, if you're not celebrating $1, why would you get 1,000,000? Why would you get 100 million? Right? Because it's like, we have to be in that space of changing our perspective to look at life as this beautiful adventure, this game that we're playing, and like, how can we just enjoy every aspect of it and be grateful, be in that space of gratitude. So I don't even know where I was going with that.
No, that answers it. No, that totally answers it, because by being in the space of receiving, you do then receive that inspiration. You receive the miracles that then feed these different avenues that you have created in your life to support you.
Yeah. And the other like thing that popped up when you were sharing that is, I love knowledge. I love absorbing, learning new things. Like I said, I'm a double Gemini. I'm like very air sign, like love learning new things. And so for me, for example, like One of the things I've gone through lately is a huge financial transformation within my own personal life. And after, 18 months ago, I think 18 months ago, filing for bankruptcy, and totally resetting my financial life, I took in everything I could learn about budgeting, investing, emergency funds, savings, like high interest savings accounts, yields, like APY, like how to hack credit cards in a really healthy way, but only do it if you can trust yourself, which you got to build the self-trust, right? Like I just went full into learning all these things, and I found this app, this awesome budgeting app that I just love to use. It's exciting for me. It brings me joy to open it. Like it truly brings me joy. Like every day I can't wait to open my budgeting app. Like
what's the app for those that are interested?
Yes, it's called Copilot, and I'll send you my little affiliate link, and maybe we can attach it on the podcast if someone wants to join. It's amazing, and I'll teach a free masterclass on it because I want to introduce more people to it because it changed my life. It helped me now. Like I now have a positive net worth, and this is coming from someone who had $200,000 in student loans to start out. After graduating college, I'm like, oh, $200,000.
Here we go.
Negative net worth, and so I built that up and, come out of credit card debt, personal loan debt, business loan debt, and I've cleared that by the grace of God, truly, and through following my spark, but also reaching out for help. Like that's the other thing, if you're not feeling inspired anymore, reach out for support. We are community-based people. Like
resources are everywhere.
We need each other. We really do. And I know, I feel like maybe a lot of the things I'm saying could be taken as like, oh, she's like very self-centered and like all the things I've been sharing so far. But
oh no.
Yes. No. Okay.
I don't get that at all.
But it's like, yes, we need to fuel our cup, but we also need each other. And that's, we can connect authentically with each other when we fill our cups first, right?
Yes.
And so I know for me, it's like when I was losing steam and losing faith and losing all these things were breaking down and I didn't even want to work at all anymore. It's like there was a point I didn't even want to be here anymore 18 months ago. I reached out for help, and it's like, just share what's on your heart, and whether that's a trusted friend, or for me, it was like posting anonymously in a Facebook group for Nashville moms, just sharing about my breakdown and like how I was way in over my head with debt and I had no idea what I was going to do.
Yeah.
It's like, however, or whether it's hiring a hypnotherapist or a therapist or a coach, right? It's like, let yourself receive support. Let yourself receive support. I feel like too many of us have a stick up our ass and we're kind of too much in our ego.
Yes.
To reach out for help,
Yes. And there's that pattern too. I definitely have that pattern that's been coming up with the forcing and the pressuring. It's like I have to do it all on my own. But that comes from like an egoic need to control the situation. And that I just like, once I realized that, I was like, wow, like I just want my hands in it all, because then I know it's going to be perfect. It's going to be fine. And I'm not going to be hurt if I can like hold the structure and just hold it all and try to balance. But then, yes, burnout happens. Resentment starts to come in. Like all of these nasty, murky energies just like sneak their way in. And that's no way to live. No way to live.
And I can resonate, I did that for so long, even in motherhood. Like there was a long time that I was resisting motherhood because I was so clung on to the maiden archetype of like, I just want my freedom back. I just want to be able to do whatever I want. And now I'm grieving this loss of, at the end of the day, it's like a loss of autonomy when you become a mother, because it is, and it's true. It's like that is part of the mother's sacrifice, because you lose your autonomy, at least in the younger years, right? It's like your babies literally need you. And like my baby still to this day, he's 2 years old, he's still breastfeeding all through the night and like a couple times during the day. It's like my body isn't even my own right now. And so I have, thankfully, through the years, I've been able to switch my perspective to like, oh, this is so frustrating, this is so annoying, I just want to be free again, to like, oh, I am in a season of presence and sacrifice, but can I, instead of resisting it, which doesn't help anyone, and it's poison for the resentment is poison for my heart, and it's only hurting me, how can I lean into this? How can I fully surrender into being so fully present in motherhood and being in that, again, putting those glasses on of like, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I dive deeper? Where? And then I started to do the shadow work of like, where am I still resisting being present with myself? And I learned that through my children, which is so beautiful. Like they teach me to be so present, and it's life-changing. It really is.
I know, it's making me just so excited for motherhood because I know it's going to be such a giant like initiation. And
it is.
like
It is an initiation. Like I will tell it to you. I'll tell it to you straight.
And you mentioned the word surrender in there, and I'm glad that this came through in the perfect way. Surrendering to each season in life, surrendering to what life presents you with, whether it is bankruptcy or, you know, this transition from maiden to mother, or even, you know, with someone who has so much inspiration. I'm sure you've had some things come through very strongly. You start it and then life kind of turns and you're like, okay, I'm going to have to let that avenue go right now. And there's this new one coming in and I'm just going to surrender to that. And you told me that there are 5 steps, right, to your surrendering kind of practice, and this is what's in the book.
How many steps, but yeah. I was like, I'm like, should I bunch them all into 3? Should I put them into 5? We'll figure it out together.
In the book, yes. And I want to talk. I want to talk about these steps. Like, what does this surrender look like in your life when you have moved through these massive changes and transitions?
Yeah. And like I said, like you said, bankruptcy, motherhood, or for me, even, you know, giving up drugs and alcohol, becoming sober, which a lot of people are really afraid to do because they're like, oh, that's so absolute. But yeah, the art of surrender, or even like I gave birth to my first child like in a very traumatic time in April of 2020 when no one knew what was happening in the world. And like I truly had to surrender every single step, every single moment, every single breath. And so I have been writing this book for like 7 years. Eventually I'll be done with it, but for now I'll just speak about it in podcasts.
Yes.
Like what comes through really clear is, and I call it the art of surrender, right? Because we're talking about art and creation. I truly feel like there is an art to surrendering because, first of all, surrender is the most courageous thing you can do. It is so brave. It is so brave. And so first I just want to like take away anyone who's out there thinking, oh, well, surrendering, like, isn't that letting go? Isn't that weak? No, it's a totally different energy. Surrendering is so courageous. And the most like, and we all know the person like stuck in their ego, stuck in their stuff, and they're probably struggling a lot internally, even if they don't show it externally, because they're not willing to do surrender.
Let it go.
Give it up to God. Give it up to spirit, to source. What you know, and I use the word God, but again, whatever word resonates with you, please replace that with whenever I'm speaking. For me, the first step, and it's funny because it's also the first step in, you know, AA or Alcoholics Anonymous. The first step is to admit that you're powerless. Like admit that like whatever this situation is you're dealing with, whether it's addiction, whether it's birthing a baby, whether it's birthing a podcast or a new program, or like where you feel stuck, right? You feel like it's too much, or whether it's a trauma you're working through, whether it's some, like I know Oren and Chelsea, for example, they had their entire house burned down in the fire. They lost
LA fires.
So it's like, whatever this moment is that you can think of like that, what are you being called to surrender right now in your life? And maybe it's surrendering your anxiety and your depression, or whether it's surrendering your stubbornness, or again, it could be anything, whether it's surrendering to your next career move. It's like, take the energy of that and notice how heavy it is when you're holding it on your own, right? Notice how heavy that feels. It's like, for me, it goes in my shoulders. It's like a plate on my heart.
Yeah. Big chest energy for me. Yeah.
Oh, right. And it's like, notice where that lives in your body. And then that first step of the art of surrender is to just admit, like, I don't want this anymore. Like, I don't want to hold this anymore. I can't. Like, if it's gotten to the point where it leads to dis-ease, I can't hold this anymore. This toxic relationship, this dysfunctional dynamic, right? Whether it's between you and your mother or you and your partner or whatever, right? I can't do this anymore. I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
Definitely not on my own, right? So it's like that first step is like surrendering it, letting it go, and saying, and then inviting in a higher power. Again, whatever that is to you. And so it's like, okay, God, take this from me. Take this from me, because like I literally cannot hold this on my own, right? So there's an aspect in surrender, which again is so courageous. It's allowing the divine to come in and to support you, because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So
Yes, we are.
we're not supposed to do this alone. We're not meant to just like muscle through it. So it's surrendering, to the divine. And then once you've allowed yourself to let God in, to let source in, universe in, goddess in, whatever you want to call it. Once you've allowed that in, then you've also stimulated your creative connection, because
Yes.
God source energy, Christ light, whatever you want to call it, the Holy Spirit energy, that is our life force. It is our creative energy, and that's where we get more power from. So we can channel through more power once we've surrendered and invited God in. And then from that power, and we've now got a creative channel, right? And this is usually like when people think of surrender as like you're on your knees and you're sobbing on the kitchen floor. And I will say there have been times when I had to like enter a church. I just moved to Nashville, and I entered a church because everything broke down in my life. Like I lost everything upon moving to Nashville 6 years ago. And I went to a random church, got on my knees, and I was like, God, I am here. I followed your call. Now, what the fuck do you want from me? Because I have no idea.
What are we doing?
Like, I lost, and when I say I lost everything, like I'm being very short in my like share of this, but I lost everything upon moving here. Even my physical safety, my identity, my social security number was hacked, like everything. My bank account went to zero. Like I lost everything. I was, assaulted upon moving here. Like I lost everything.
Holy cow.
And I remember being on my knees, and I'm trying to use this as an example of like, you don't have to be on your knees to surrender, but there was a moment where...
There are moments, yeah.
There are moments, right, where I was like on my knees, and I was like, what do you want from me, God? I'm here. I listened to the call to move from LA, which I loved, to Nashville. I picked up my whole life. I don't know anyone here. And all this happened. Like, what do you want from me? And like, what am I supposed to learn? And I remember the message that came through was, your only safety is within me. Your only safety in this world is within yourself and within me. Like nothing external will ever bring you safety. No amount of podcasts, no amount of how you play guitar. Your guitar could be taken away. Your no amount of money in your bank account will ever make you feel safe. And ask a millionaire, they'll tell you, yeah, I still don't feel safe. Ask a billionaire,
Truly.
They'll probably tell you too, I still don't feel safe, because that's not where our safety lies. Our safety is within ourselves and with God. Like that is it. But that's also freedom, right? That is freedom. So I remember being on my knees, and I just got that message, and I was like, all right, well, you served it to me thick, but I got it.
Heard. Okay.
All my safeties were taken away. Like, heard. But then from there, things started, like, then from there, miracles unfolded, right? But I had to get to the point of giving it up. And you can be mad, like, be mad, like, but give it up and then tap in, because when you receive that, then what you'll get is your next step. And that's the next step in the art of surrender is receiving one next action, one next step. I call it inspired action. We have to have massive faith and inspired action, and we got to do both. You can't just sit in a room all day with faith, and you can't just take action all day without being connected and being, so it's like we have to have both massive faith and inspired action. And so what I do in the art of surrender is like, what's that one next step? Just one thing, and tap in. Ask God, ask for support in what needs to come through. Look for signs, right? For me, it comes through, and I feel like it comes through for you too. It's like a download. It's like right there.
Yep.
So, and I do believe that people can learn how to do that. People can learn how to build that connection. But if you need a sign or you need to see angel numbers, like whatever floats your boat, but just start connecting, start opening up to talk to the divine. And for me, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to receive God. And so once you receive your next step, you've got to take that action, and then more will be revealed along the way.
Yes.
The biggest problem I see from people is that they think they have to see the whole staircase. They think they have to have, whether it's again, building out a podcast, whether it's building out a new course offering, or whether it's, launching your music or writing a book, or again,
And
whatever.
yes, it could be so frustrating, like when you can't see the full picture. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of just living in the now. And like I am learning to trust, and I have a lot of like soul knowledge and wisdom and trust, and so
Yes.
it's easy for me to just, okay, well, this is what presented, and now we're here.
Yep.
And people are telling me to plan for retirement and plan for all this stuff, and you're young, you need to plan for a house, and it's like, brother, I can't even see next week. Like I don't see into next month hardly.
Seriously,
And
me
it's like,
too.
oh my gosh, like I there is such a presence, and I think when you do experience like massive surrender, you do start to see the future as illusion.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when you have those deaths.
Yeah, and multiple timelines are available to us based on our inspired action, our next step. That's why, when people go to psychics, it's like, cool, that's great, but like they're just seeing one timeline.
Yes.
And if you choose to subscribe to what their timeline is, you can create that for yourself, but also you can access that within yourself too. And
you're limiting yourself. If you only think that is what's occurring, you're limiting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's multitudes of timelines available to you at any one moment. And so that's why I say take just one step, the next step, and trust that more will be revealed. We've got to trust in that. It's like the trust fall into the arms of God, right? Like we've got to trust fall. And that's how I live my life. And I will tell you, like, even in the depths of the darkness of addiction or the bankruptcy moments I had, like, I still felt God. I still felt like I'm held even in the depths of this darkness, and I'm going to create art from it, and I'm going to share from it, because I know one day it's healing me now and it's going to help others. Like I know that even when it's crazy. Like even when I was so immersed in my addiction, I remember I was popping like half an Adderall pill every 30 minutes. Like my body was chemical. I had sores on my face that were just bleeding. Like I couldn't even wear makeup. It was like crazy. And I remember in that moment of being so addicted to Adderall, and then every time I would drink on top of it, I would black out and like not know anything and not know how I got home. It was just a very dark time for me. This was again early 20s and living in Los Angeles and Hollywood Hills. I just remember there was a moment that went through my head, which was, how am I going to hide this from my husband and kids when I'm 40 years old? And it was like,
wow.
Like when I went that far in my mind, I was like, oh, Jourdan, you have a problem. Like we need to
there's something going on.
We need to surrender this, because like you are going real far into the future with like how to hide this. I just remember that moment, and I remember hearing a message from, I convene a lot with Archangel Michael, God, and JC. Like they're my booze.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing a message from Archangel Michael just being like, document all of this. Document all of this. Take pictures of your face while it's bleeding. Take pictures of you while you're weeping at your darkest moments. All of this is going to help someone someday, but it's also helping you right now as you're healing yourself. So document it, because you're going to want this. And so I kept everything. I documented everything. And again, it's all going to go into my book. But we're working on it.
Yes.
But that brings me back, like even documenting the dark moments, that brings me back to allow every emotion without shame.
Yes. Showing up as you are.
It's all beautiful. Like everyone always says, smile. And like, great, smiling pictures of joy are great. But what about the moments, like for me, I want to capture all the moments in life that were big for me. Like those poignant, life-changing moments. Like I want to capture that, the essence of that. And so I take pictures when I'm crying. And do I share them? Not usually. They're for myself. But when I scroll back in my phone, I'm like, wow, that was the moment that the love of my life broke up with me and said, because I revealed to him that, again, this is a decade ago, but I revealed to him that I was hiding these Adderall pills, and I was so sorry, and I wanted to stop. I finally told him, I was like, I want to stop, but I have to tell you that this has been happening. And I've been hiding it this whole time. And I'll never forget, he said to me, Jourdan, I love you, but I can't do this anymore. And like, it broke my heart. It shattered me heart wide open, because I thought in my head, again, I was a very calculated person, very I manipulate this, but in my head I'm like, oh, coming clean to him, he's gonna be so supportive, he's gonna love me,
he's gonna hold me through this.
And he was my biggest activator into getting sober, because you know, I always say he was my Christ light. His name was Christian. It's so funny.
Oh my God,
his name. I'm like, he was my Christian to like get me to really look within myself and see all the ways I was hurting others, but more than anything, hurting myself.
Yes. And oh God, thank you so much. This is just like so activating, and I oftentimes I need moments of silence to just like take it all in. And wow, like
take it in.
Just take a breath. There were so many powerful like soul pings I was feeling just unlocking in my chest while you were speaking. Oh yeah, like so much. I can't wait to listen to it back. There was a question, and again, this was kind of like a spirit-led question from someone that I can hear listening.
Yeah.
In those moments of the deepest, darkest days, what was a practice that kept you connected to spirit? Because you said you felt source, you felt God even in those darkest days. And I know a lot of people don't. And so while you were experiencing that, what was that connection? Like, what sparked that connection in order for you to feel that every single day?
Yeah. I would say whenever I noticed myself going into distraction, reorienting back to myself and prayer and connection and, again, support. Like, to me, God is everywhere. So God, like in me typing that, I'm telling you, it was 3 a.m., and I typed this post out to these Nashville moms 18 months ago saying, I'm so in over my head. I can't, my cards are all maxed out because I haven't made any money since giving birth, which that was an initiation, right? I was like, my money dried up. All the cards are maxed out just from living expenses. Like, I'm in over my head. I'm in a really toxic, dysfunctional cycle right now in terms of some relational stuff. And like, I am just at my wit's end. I'm at my wit's end. And I remember I posted it anonymously. I was so ashamed of where I was at. I posted it anonymously. And I remember receiving so much support, like 80 comments came in. And in the morning, I got 80 comments, and every single one was supportive and kind. And like, I would say half of those comments out of the 80 were women saying, file for bankruptcy, look into filing for bankruptcy. Like, it saved. And then they told me their lived experience, that it saved their life. It's not as scary as it seems. Like, I didn't know any of that. I had no idea, because I only heard what society said about it, which was like, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to you. And it's so shameful and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. And I remember for me, that's God. Like, again, the act of reaching out for help in your darkest
surrender.
That's surrender, right?
Yes.
I was like, I can't do this. That's literally the art of surrender.
No.
Reaching out for help.
Yes, you surrendered, and then you received your next step, which is wild. Yeah.
It's like, I can't do this alone, God. I can't do this alone. And so I believe God works through humans, right?
Oh, all the time. Yes.
There are human angels everywhere. And so those angels that commented on that post kept me from leaving this planet. Like, seriously. And they might never know unless they're listening to this podcast and remember, oh, I remember that lady that was freaking out.
That posted at 3 a.m. Yeah.
But it's like, you never know. And that's, again, you never know how your actions or your words or your kindness, even just kindness, will impact someone and could possibly save their life even.
Yes.
We never know.
Yes. And it can all shift so rapidly within a moment notice. I think when people look at those dark times that they're experiencing, and I do this same thing, it's like, oh my God, it feels so real, it feels so heavy, and it feels like we're gonna be here forever. But it gets to be easy, and we get to shift like that, and who knows, the very next day someone could walk into your life with an opportunity or with inspiration or a story that then sparks this. Yes.
So that brings me to the next part of answering your question is like when you're in that dark moment and you can't feel God, it's like, one, reach out for help because God works in mysterious ways. Again, this whole bankruptcy thing happened because of God answering a prayer that I didn't know he was going to answer in that way. Like I was bringing back to Oren. I was with Oren and Chelsea in Turkey on a trip in the country of Turkey, and I was in this beautiful 1,500-year-old temple in a mountain, and Oren said, claim a miracle, claim anything you want. And I said, I claim $333 million. And I just was like so about it. And he was like, I see you. I'm holding that for you. Like, and everyone else's, like, what they were claiming was like, not that. It was like, be a relationship, you know? It was like, and don't get me wrong, I love that they claim those things, but like mine was like way more expansive, right? And so it's so funny because I believed in it so fully, and I still do. It's been 2.5 years since that Turkey trip, but it's funny because part of that prayer, because when you call in really big things, get ready for big things to happen in your life.
Oh my God. For real.
I'm serious. Like, and I had all this debt, right? That had stacked up from, other personal things that had been happening in my life. But it's like part of clearing the debt. I basically received $200,000 or more in abundance I received that by that being cleared.
Yes.
That I had. So it's like, and it's funny looking back now, and I can be in a good space now, but looking back, God was like, haha, you didn't think that you're going to get to that 333 million. You didn't think you're going to get to it through this being a sidestep, right? Haha. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Playing tricks. But
be ready for what you wish for. Be willing to go to the depths for it. Be willing to explore and experience all facets of emotion in this human life. If you're going to call in big shit, get ready for big things, and don't make the dark moments wrong, but reach out for help, reach out for support, pray. For me, I prayed all the time. And then this is one thing that got me through too. Trust that it's just a season. Because the only thing that's an absolute, the only thing that we can, what do they say? The only thing is like death and taxes, right? But what I have to say is the only constant in life is change.
Yes.
We can rely that life is always going to be changing. We can rely on that because it doesn't stay the same. And so for me, what really helps me get out of a dark time or a dark cycle or even a dark era, a dark chapter,
moment. Yeah.
This isn't going to last forever. This is just a season. And how can I make the best of it while it's here right now?
Yes.
So
yes.
And same with motherhood. Like motherhood right now, I have a 4-year-old who was diagnosed with autism level 3, like the most severe. That's what they call it. It's a spectrum, and he's so beautiful and magical, and I think it's a superpower, but I have a special needs son, and I have a 2-year-old who still breastfeeds all day. Like, I'm in the thick of it with motherhood. Like, and as much as I enjoy it, and as much as I am as present as I can be, I still have to tell myself, oh, look at that. Whoa. God's like, you got the,
holy shit. Oh my God. Celebrating you. Celebrate. For those of you that are listening and can't see, glitter and like confetti just filled the screen on our app. That's so funny.
Have you ever had that happen before?
No, I've had the thumbs up thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but never the confetti. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what you did. Yeah, I don't even know what you did. That is so wild. Spirit's like yes. It's the peace sign.
Okay, it's peace signs. I didn't even know I did peace signs, but anyway, so but again, that's just a confirmation. That's a confirmation that this is an embodiment of even, and so we can hold this and this. I can hold the joy of the presence of motherhood and the grief of the loss of my autonomy and the frustrations when I'm up all night taking care of a sick child, losing sleep and dysregulated within my own nervous system. And, just those are the moments where I have to say, all right, this is just a season. How can I make the best of it right now? Right. And not making that wrong. I feel like so many, everyone wants to shame each other for having these feelings. We're all human. Allow it in. It's okay.
It is okay. We are all human and we are all doing our best. That's what I constantly say. Even if someone is rude to me in the workplace, or, something happens, we are all doing our best with what we can do and what we have and how we have learned. And everyone's carrying something. And this kind of brings to the topic of surrendering to what's occurring in America and in the present state of the world, and how can we hold the light, trusting that this too shall pass, and also holding the knowing that this leads to expansion, because when we surrender, when the destruction is at play, there is so much beauty coming in. And I keep hearing, with the chaos, that chaos is going to spark action in people. Spark action in solutions, spark action in new ways of living. Eye opening. The veils are lifted. And how can we surrender?
2020 gave me 2020 vision. It's there's literally so much more at play here. So this is where it's I feel like people can get so lost in the distraction, lost in the division, and that's letting, I don't want to call it evil per se, but that's letting them win. That's, they want us distracted. They want us out of our power, because then we're not living in our purpose and creating the art through our feminine rage, or whether we're a poet, or whether we're an activist, or whether we're meant, whether it's our calling to go picket downtown at the Capitol, or for me, it's writing songs and sharing them. I have social activism songs that change people. And sometimes I sing to 50,000 souls on TikTok. Most of these people I will never meet, but that song got to their ears in that moment, and that shifted them. That did something for them. That's my activism, right? So it's lovingly find your lane and stay in it, and don't let the distraction and the doom scrolling let you give your light away, because your attention is currency. And we have to remember that. So and that brings me back to my self-care, right? That you asked at the beginning. Be intentional. So if you're going to be consuming content, be very intentional with the content that you consume, because most of the news on either side is fear porn. It really is. And we have to just realize that it's all created to fuel fear, fuel distraction, and fuel division. And when you can see it for what it is, even with our phones, everyone's making money, even on Instagram or whatever, everyone's making money out of our attention. So just as long as you are aware in the back of your mind, this is what's going on, you can consume it consciously, right? But I just find the biggest thing is that people are just doom scrolling for hours, and then they're getting so down, and then what they're doing is they're siphoning their life force energy away.
They're giving it away.
Sometimes, most of the time, unconsciously. And so we gotta get conscious of that and start, instead of consuming, how can I create today? How can I take these feelings, which we don't want you to repress them? How can I take these very real feelings and not let them eat me inside, but let them out in a healthy way, right? Through art, through poetry, and then share it if you feel called. I've been going to spoken word poetry night and sharing. I have a lot of poetry. I have a lot of spoken word poetry on shame. I love talking about shame. I feel like that's the actual real pandemic, is shame, and how it just eats us up inside, and we're not connected to each other anymore, and just all that. So I speak on shame, and I just go at it, and it fuels me, and it ignites other people too, right? So I love it.
Yes. Well, and to even the shame with the bankruptcy story, surrendering into just allowing yourself to be, again, allowing those emotions to be present, and allowing that shame to just flow through and then let it go. It doesn't have to be shameful. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel, you can allow yourself to feel them, but you don't have to hold on to them, because again, that's all an illusion, a societal illusion.
It's literally an illusion. And it's funny because those 40 comments I received on my anonymous mom's Facebook post, the 40 comments from women who had gone through it themselves and said, hey, file for bankruptcy. If you have that much debt, like, just do it. You're going to be so free. A huge weight is going to be taken off of you. It is a surrender, right? But it's going to reset your financial life, and you won't feel this way anymore, And so after looking into it, even though there was shame at the start, the more I looked into it, the more I went down like the bankruptcy Reddit threads, which, you guys, if you're considering bankruptcy, go to Reddit, which I don't normally recommend Reddit, but for bankruptcy threads, so powerful.
There's some good stuff. Yeah.
It will clear your shame in a second, because I learned that it's our constitutional right to file for bankruptcy. It's literally written into the Constitution. Companies do it all the time. So it's like, if you want to do a big fuck you to capitalism and patriarchy, file bankruptcy for yourself. Stop holding on to like the good girl people pleasing of like, oh, well, I have this $40,000 and I need to hold it to pay it off to be a morally good person. Fuck that. You're being screwed over anyway with your interest rates. Like don't give all your power away. I have a lot to say on this, and we could do a whole nother podcast on it. But it's like, why are you saying that these credit card companies that are already screwing you over at the 27% APR or higher, why are you saying like, oh no, but I have to be morally good and like pay them back over years and years? And why are you saying that that's more important than your internal freedom, when it's your constitutional right to file for bankruptcy? But again, learn from it. Like, learn the lessons. Admit like, oh yeah, I fucked up, or I got into this situation. But a lot of people, it's medical debt that, the system screwed up. They're in medical debt. And for me, it was like, my student loans didn't get erased, but I paid them down now because that's a priority for me. But like all of the debt that I got into, it was debt because I believed in myself. Like, I wasn't spending it on like purses or clothes or frivolous things. I was truly investing it into myself and my education. And I believed in myself so much that then when I had my second child and the faucet of abundance turned off for me to go into my dark night of the soul, it's like, what happened was about 5 or 6 months went by, no money was coming in, but my lifestyle and my, paying the rent and paying the car and paying the insurance and paying all the, food to live, all of those payments didn't stop, but the money did. And so I put it all on credit cards, thinking, again, with the best intention, thinking I'm going to get out of this soon. This postpartum depression will drop off so I can get back into my energy of making money, because I do know how to make money. But I was in such it was postpartum depression. It was having 2 children. My son had just been diagnosed with autism, and I wasn't able to have the capacity to serve clients at that time, right? So it's getting really honest with myself. And then it just like, it got out of control, and there's no shame in that. Like, I know that there'll be some people who probably want to shame me, but it's like getting, having things buckle and snowball out of control. Like, at some point you just have to say, well, this happened. And now, instead of like feeling shamed about it, I got to do something about it, because I've got to move forward. And giving yourself grace and compassion, which the world needs more of, but it starts with us. Like, I had to give myself the utmost grace and compassion, even though people from the outside were judging me. Some of my previous clients were judging me, right? Because I was really open about my story the whole time that this was going on, but they didn't know the full story. They didn't know, and it's like, you never know what's happening in someone else's shoes, right?
Exactly.
And so, not to defend myself, but just to say, like, it got out of control. I made mistakes along the way, and when I filed, though, I got all of that clear, like all the debt was cleared, wiped away, forgiven.
Which blows my mind. Like, who knew that existed? Who knew that existed?
Abundance, though. Like,
abundance, yes.
I've been praying, remember, since Turkey.
Yes, God is with you, yes.
God was like, okay, girl, we gotta clear your debt first. Now we can build.
So we're gonna cause this, and then,
And so now it's like, and again, talking about the shame, like, once I read those Reddit threads, I was like, oh my gosh, I was reading posts from bankruptcy lawyers. I was reading posts from people who'd been through it, who said, my life is so different now, and I have a positive net worth, and I'm able to buy a house. And, it's like, I was like, wow, all of society lied to us. Because once again, just like the news and the fear porn and the doom scrolling, they're trying to keep us down, keep this hidden as like this is our
flight or flight
right to get a reset if we need it. And so just I want to give a disclaimer. In no way am I saying go rack up a bunch of credit card debt and then just to file bankruptcy. I am not saying that at all. I want to be very clear.
Yes.
I am saying that if you got yourself into a predicament, again, whatever happened in the past, whether it was from addiction or it was from
medical bills
medical
or
debt or
anything.
whatever. For me, it was like I truly believed in myself, and I really did with every ounce of my heart. I believed I was going to start making money again. I believed I was going to be able to pay it off. I really did. And I was making payments, the minimums, but I was making payments. I wasn't like, I didn't even stop making payments until I filed. I'm serious. Like, I truly believed, whether you want to call it delusional or not, I was like, no, I'm going to make this money back because I invested into myself.
Yes.
Anyway, all of that to say, like, I took the shame away and set myself free. And now since these last 18 months, I've slashed my student loan debt by 80%. Because I could now put all my money towards that, right?
Snaps, yes.
I have built my investment accounts, right? I play a lot in the crypto world. I actually teach a crypto 101 course. Investments too, like stock market investments, like all of that I can finally play with now and explore and discover because I have, like, because I'm not frivolously charging things, you know, and just a snowball of debt. And so it's just been such a beautiful journey of embodiment for me. And in the past, I used to teach about like the 5D financial realm.
Yes.
But now I have learned and embodied the 3D financial realm. And now I'm like, ooh, I can't wait because I know eventually I will create another money course that's going to be like, okay, we're going to go into both of them because I've mastered the 5D. I know how to make money. I really do. Like, I feel like I've mastered that, but holding it, keeping it, allowing your body to feel safe and a good steward of wealth, like that's a whole nother level. And then learning the app I was talking about, Copilot, getting your budgeting together, being intentional with your investments, right? Being intentional. That's really what it's about, like being intentional. And now, like I said, I love opening my budgeting app. I love, there's like a little AI bot that helps you categorize everything that comes through. You see everything that comes through.
That's cool.
Very intentional. And I get to categorize it, and I have my budgets, and you can change things as you go. It's all exploratory, but I love it. I love looking at my accounts now because they no longer scare me. I'm no longer hiding from them because I feel like so many people hide from their bank
many,
right?
Yeah, I didn't look at mine for 2 years, and I realized that I was getting charged $30 a month from this this BarkBox company, and I was like, I don't even have a friggin' dog or like a pet, like what? No. And that so when I caught it, it was over $600 over 2 years, and I'm grateful it was only that amount because that's manageable for where I'm at. But that
contributes to energy leak. God. That's an energy leak,
Yes. And it's because I was scared. I was just neglecting it. I was like, you know what? I don't need to look there. I'm not making a lot, so nothing's going on, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But that fear, I do believe, like, was feeding the energy leak. Yeah. It's so important to look at our money and to also, reset the nervous system when we look at our money. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. It doesn't have to be. And there's so much money trauma on the planet.
And there's so much we got to heal from here and somatically. And like, of course, I teach all of that work too, but it's like, also there's the very real human 3D part of like creating your budget and being very intentional about your spending. And like everyone wants abundance. Everyone says they want abundance, but do you have the capacity to really hold wealth and be a good steward of your wealth so that it continues to grow
and to receive?
Right?
Yeah.
Now I can say like I got that. I got that code. I had the abundance code before of like knowing how to make it, but I didn't know how to get it to stay and to grow and to hold it with reverence. Yes. Now I do. Yes. And it's really beautiful. And so, and just to bring it full circle, I could have never fully embodied this if it wasn't for the breakdown, if it wasn't for the postpartum depression, if it wasn't for the money stacking up and leading me to have to file for bankruptcy, if it wasn't for me reaching out for support, if it wasn't for me getting to the dark night of the soul and saying,
surrendering.
It's like, all of that led to this. And now, like, I can say my loans are almost paid off. Like, I thought I would be in student loan debt for the rest of my life. I really did. And I'm only 34. I'm like, this is good.
This is incredible. Yes. 80%. I can't believe that in 2 years. That's absolutely incredible. And I'm sure so many people relate to that, wishing and thinking that it's going to be forever, but it really is just a season. And it's beautiful to just see those shifts. Like, again, it can all happen in an instant. It can happen in an instant. And two, recently I heard this, and I've seen this so many times in my life, when we are about to go through a massive soul evolution, life gets real crunchy, life gets real dark, life get like destruction occurs in the universe to create creation. To create beauty. Yes.
Like, I think about a diamond, right? A coal. It's like you look at a piece of coal and you think it's worthless, but you put enough pressure on it and it becomes the most hard diamond that is unbreakable, unshakable, and shining. And it's like, we got to think of ourselves that way. Like, and like we are the diamond. And so how can we turn ourselves from coal into the diamond, but then it's still dusty? How can we take intentionality and presence and shine each of our facets so that we can truly allow our light to expand? Because each of us are here. Yes. We're here for a very important reason. And so let's see if this works. Hold on. Yay! The same with like TNT and fireworks, right? We got to explode to be beautiful.
That's amazing. Again, we're playing with the video graphics. We just had fireworks. That's beautiful.
I was like, oh yeah, because fireworks explode and then they look really pretty. So that's on brand with what we're talking about.
Yes, it is. Mine again, just lagging, but that's okay. Oh, there it is! Fireworks all around. Oh my gosh. I feel like we need to do a part 2.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like a part 2 on the 3D to 5D wealth mastery. I think that would serve a lot of people. And I've only have like one abundance episode, really. I mean, it's mentioned a lot throughout the podcast, but I haven't had a guest on to talk about it. So that would be, I think, really interesting. If you're interested in an abundance, comment below, like the episode, or reach out on Instagram.
Or I just had a thought, we could also do, I don't know if you have many women listening who either want to be mothers or are already mothers. Maybe we could even do a podcast on all like the questions about motherhood and like sharing my birth story. Because remember, I have a song called I Surrender that we could maybe sing with that birth story. And I'd love anyone who's listening, please leave a comment with questions that you have, and we'll include all of those questions into the next part of the podcast.
The next episode. Yeah. Oh, amazing. I'm so glad. That's going to be amazing. Yes. Comment below, reach out. And Jourdan, thank you so much for all of this beautiful wisdom. Like I said, I'm going to sit in meditation after this and just integrate. And I think that's such an important thing. So I'm channeling an oracle deck and I have symbols, and the integrate symbol came through yesterday, and I'm feeling that today too. It's so important when we receive, we often like just jump into the next. And it's again, it's that pressure, it's that force. It's just keep going. But like, when you pause and you open yourself to receive, you actually allow the energy to just sit and integrate. So I'm definitely going to sit in that and surrender to the codes that want to come through, maybe some light language. So I encourage everyone listening to do the same.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Literally what you said is like kind of what my self-care was, like removing the busyness and like, sitting with it, being present and letting that integration take place, because that's the most important part, and we skip it. On the next thing. It's truly
so easy.
It's the alchemy. It's letting it all work its way together.
Click into place.
Yeah.
I feel like I get a lot of meditation clients asking me like, I just don't understand how you do it. Like I sit down and there's thoughts clouding and thoughts everywhere. And I was like, well, you haven't taken enough time to process Like we don't take that processing time, which is the valve opening and allowing the energy to flow through. And the more you do that, then the less is there when you close your eyes.
And also, if you have those thoughts before meditation, just journal, just like brain dump everything that's coming out. Don't edit it.
Yes.
Brain dump it out. And then other people, I always say like tap it out, say all your greatest fears, all the negative thought loops, just while you're tapping, that's clearing it from your nervous system, from your cellular structure. And then sit in meditation and see what comes through. Because the thing is, our brain is not meant to be a Rolodex of like things to remember. It's not meant to be a to-do list. Our brain is supposed to be open and clear so that we can channel the divine creativity through. That is our birthright. So the more we get it out of here, like we don't got enough RAM for that, like the memory card is full. Like dump it out on paper, please.
Yeah, get it out, talk it out, dance it out, sing it out, and then channel the creation.
You don't and that brings us back to surrender. You don't have to hold it all. You don't have to hold it all. Like
Amen. Downloaded. And Jourdan, where can people find you and connect with you more?
Yes. So I'm all over the internet. If you search just my name, you'll find all the things. My name is Jourdan with a U, so Jourdan Rystrom, Rystrom. So if you want to find my music, I've got super empowering, heart-opening, feel-good music. Find me on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Just again, search Jourdan Rystrom. Also, I'm very active on Instagram under the handle Jourdan Rystrom. I'm active on Facebook too, just again, by my name. Or on TikTok. I don't post a lot on TikTok, but I go live on TikTok a lot. So if you want more of a like live action fun, which I'd love for you to say hi on there, my handle on TikTok is Awaken the Glow, which is the name of my business. So Awaken the Glow. And then I also have, a website, and I do take private clients. If you're wanting a big transformation, my Finally Free transformation program it's a deep dive. Like we go deep together. And I'm here to be of highest service to your goals and your purpose and shining your light in this life. So yeah, you can always reach out there as well. We can book a call to chat about potentially working together. And then I think like those are the places to reach me for now, but I'm on social media, Instagram, hit me up, follow my stories. I'd love to hear from you. I love to connect. Like I'm a real human. So don't be afraid to say hi.
No, not at all. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the authenticity you bring and just the beautiful wisdom that has flowed through your own life experiences. And I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this beautiful podcast episode. And again, if you want your questions to be answered on the next podcast episode that I do with Jourdan, comment below, let us know, DM us on Instagram if you want to hear a topic or anything, or if you just want to say hey. And we will be all the questions, and we will be tapping back in again soon.
Yes.
But, all right. Thank you for listening, everyone. Much love. Have a beautiful, blessed day. And bye for now.